As you can already tell by this video's title, this video will be about Durin's background. I thought of making this video because the Nod-Krai special program will air this Friday by the time this video is made, so this is a perfect timing for me to give you all some refresher on him because he will be the center of that update. Durin has always been an integral part of Genshin's story. The first time we even learned Rhinedottir's name, and we even learned the concept of sinners from him, albeit indirectly. So for us to get a playable version of him is honestly very surreal because a lot of us thought that he would be a weekly boss instead. He did become a boss at some point in the 4.8 event, but it's not Teyvat's version of Durin, so it doesn't count. And in today's video, we'll be talking about Durin's background and we can start theorizing from there. With that said, don't forget to give this video a like and comment so the channel can be noticed by the algorithm. My name is Glitchxcity and I make lore and commentary videos on this channel to keep you company. But before that, Arlecchino and Zhongli's banners are finally here. While they have fallen out of the meta, I own these characters myself and I can safely say that they're still good enough to use in this day and age in the endgame. However, you might want to keep a lookout on Durin, who is rumored to be our second dedicated Pyro sub DPS in the game, which is insane to think about because Xiangling is our only dedicated Pyro sub DPS for 5 years. If you need extra Pyro gems to pull or save for Durin, then allow me to introduce you to Lootbar. Lootbar is a reliable site for a fast, secure, and super reliable top-up experience for a Genesis Crystal. Additionally, they provide 25% discounts compared to normal prices in-game. Once you start your top-up, they will only ask for your UID, nothing else, so your privacy is guaranteed, and your items will arrive to your account in less than 2 minutes, including the first double top-up rewards if you haven't done that yet. With Miniature Wonderland's release, you can also top up Kernel Nexus in Lootbar the same way as you do it with Primogems. If you're playing on consoles like PlayStation 5 or Xbox, they're available for both of them as well. Over 20,000 Trustpilot reviews are showing their satisfaction after using Lootbar, and if you have any problem with your transaction, their customer service is always available around the clock to help you out. Other than Genshin Impact, Lootbar is also available for other games as well, such as Honkai Star Rail, What the Wind Waves, Sailor Zone Zero, etc. Click the link in the description below and register to get an additional 10% coupon that can be combined with all other discounts and receive special discounts for returning customers along with 1 week limited lucky draw event for lucky users. Remember, discounts are great, but don't forget to spend responsibly. Now let's continue with the content. There are 2 versions of Durin. The first one is Rhinedottir's version, and the second one is Andersdotter's version. Both are members of the Witch Coven Hexen Circle. There are 3 Durins that I'll mention in this video, and to make it less confusing for you all, I'll call each Durin on whose creator they are, and the playable Durin only as Durin. Even though Simulankan Durin's story is a lot shorter, we'll go with Rhinedottir's version first for timeline's sake. Rhinedottir's version was created by using the art of Kemia, and he was created before the Cataclysm, deemed as Rhinedottir's most miraculous creation and was classified under the name of Hummus. It's very likely that he was not corrupted by the Abyss before Rhinedottir became a sinner, and we'll get to that in a bit. We do learn that Rhinedottir already started the Primordial Human Project during this time, with Subject 2, or Saspedo in this case, was a failure and was left inside Durin's belly. Anyway, we learn in the Song of Welkin Moon Archon quest that the 5 sinners of Kyria received the power of the Abyss after they rescued Fedefalnir from his imprisonment. In the Wings of Fate's Course Intertwined, we learn that they used the power that was accumulated by Ermin and became the 5 sinners. It's also hinted in the Wing that all of that power was stored inside the twin's body as she became a vessel for power that can destroy the world. It goes even deeper in Skirk's story that each of them stole 1/6 of the abyssal power, and that last remaining power of it could likely still reside inside the twin's body. We learn further in the Archon quest that it all happened directly after they rescued Fedefalnir as shown in Rari's animated short, and just like what Capitano said, all of this, the Cataclysm, happened because of the sinner's actions. Either way, Rhinedottir's abyssal power came from the twin's body that absorbed abyssal power, and it was after that event that she unleashed her creations into Teyvat, and these creations are likely corrupted by the Abyss after she became a sinner. Until now, we still have no concrete idea why she did that in the first place, but it's very likely due to the whispers of the Abyss. The book called Breeze Amidst the Forest also supports this as well, so it's very likely that is the case due to her being a mad alchemist from the very beginning. The Reef Wolves that she created besieged Kyria and the Seven Nations. The Bakunawa that she created emerged within Tenochtitlan, so it's very likely that it was created prior to the Cataclysm. Elena's Rampage Fontaine, and finally, the star of this video, Durin. Unlike Rhinedottir's other creations where they are more destructive in nature, Durin and Elena's have a more childlike personality. In fact, in their eyes, they saw what they were doing as being kind to others within their surroundings and even played along with them. You can see that being the case with Elena's and Fontaine's world quests, and in reality, however, they were creating rampage to destroy the world, while the Reef Wolves were destroying its surroundings. We can talk about Elena's in another day, but in Durin's case, the moment he emerged from Kyria, what he saw was he was showing off his beautiful wings to the people of Mondstadt and even danced along with the Fallen, and he also gave them blessings, genuinely believing that his poisonous blood could bring prosperity. It was until the Fallen pierced Durin's neck with his tooth and he awoke from his dream, realizing the bloodshed that he had created without knowing. It was implied that it happened while Durin and the Fallen fought in the sky, more specifically on top of Dragonspine, where Durin can see the entirety of Teyvat where abyssal monsters have invaded, with blood, fire, and corpses lying on the ground. But even on the verge of dying, Durin was not mad. In fact, he wished that he could meet the Valin and Barbados in another time and place, where they could dance and sing together. He then fell, with the Valin getting corrupted by the Abyss in the process, and Durin's blood seeping into Dragonspine's ley lines. This is the main reason why monsters in Dragonspine are a lot more aggressive than the ones outside of the area. Do you know what's worse? In Festering Desire and Dragonspine Spear, it is implied that Durin is a child, and it's very likely that Elena's is also a child. As for them seeing things that is different from reality, either the Abyss corrupted them, or Rhinedottir sedate them, which is a popular theory in the lore space. So yeah, that makes his story even more depressing, and is indirectly Jido-Gyaktai. I need a way to censor that word, so yeah, just go to Google Translate and see what it means. The Frostbearing tree, also a Norman Soul tree, and the Crimson Agates that you can find in Dragonspine are the result of Durin's blood that has fully sunk deep inside Dragonspine's ley lines, with his blood reviving the dying Irminsul tree. The Crimson Agates that the Traveler offered to the tree also further increased its strength, also from Durin's blood, allowing it to finally recover its full strength and gave the Traveler the Frostbearer Catalyst. I actually made a video about this some time ago, and it seems we got our answer why that's the case. Even though Durin's power is abyssal and can corrupt its surroundings, it can also bring life. Most of Dragonspine events are literally just that, and we learned that being the case in Paralogism as well, where Durin's heart absorbed Subject 2's corpse, allowing him to gain Subject 2's knowledge, and he was able to infiltrate Mondstadt by sending the monsters from Dragonspine. What's impressive is that he also can feel jealousy because he is no longer Rhinedottir's perfect child after realizing that Albedo is now the perfect one. He even managed to make the monsters in Dragonspine shapeshift into humans, and those who visited Dragonspine prior to the invasion were brainwashed by him. The answer to this is simple, because Rhinedottir wields the power of life, and that likely reflected on her creations as well. The pattern continues on with her other creations as well, with the Reef Wolves accidentally creating the Golden Wolf Lord, Elena's creating the Melusines, and Bakunawa that was able to create more versions of itself, or basically proliferate. With Durin's fall, there's also his legacy. Well, not necessarily legacy, but rather his leftovers. What we saw in Rimbrass Valley are his bones, and the ones inside the cave is his heart. But after Paralogism, his heart no longer beats as the Rhinedottir's version of Durin is finally dead. There's actually a reason why it was that way and why it all happened to begin with, and even though it's already explained in Paralogism, it goes a bit deeper than that. This is where we enter the Simulankan version of Durin. Andersdottir's version of Durin was created in the world of Simulanka, written as a fairy tale villain who dematerialized by Barbaloth and Alice. The three became the three goddesses of Simulanka, with Alice as the goddess of creation, Barbaloth as the goddess of prophecy, and Andersdotter as the goddess of fate. Andersdottir's Durin was inspired by Rhinedottir's version, so it's safe to assume that Andersdottir's Durin was created after the events during the Cataclysm. Feeling pity for the dragon, Andersdotter wrote Durin's his life in Simulanka, hoping that he would have a better life in another world. Unfortunately, because the two share the same name, let alone the world of Simulanka is basically a mirror world of Teyvat, Barbeloth warned Andersdotter that Simulankan Durin's fate would end the same way as Teyvat's version, but Andersdotter continued on regardless because one day, a hero would save the Simulankan Durin from his suffering. Thus, the 4.8 events that we experienced last year. You can watch my older videos if you need a recap on that one. However, to make it short for you all, the traveler was transported into the world of Simulanka, along with Nilu, Navia, and Wanderer or Hat Guy as per Nahida. Wanderer became the hero of Simulanka, saving Durin in the process, and the dragon became smaller. Alice then came and renamed Durin as Mini Durin, then he traversed to Teyvat and lived with Wanderer in the process. Considering that's the case, it's very possible that Nahida is aware of Mini Durin's existence. At the end of Simulanka's events, we learned that Wanderer was able to learn about Andersdotter's memory while he was saving Durin. Andersdotter was persistent in knowing Rhinedottir's version of Durin's fate, so Barbeloth told Andersdotter that one day, Rhinedottir's Durin will soon rise from the dead. This is the main reason why Paralogism Arkham Quest happened to begin with, because Barbeloth's prophecy will happen and never be wrong. No matter the outcome, one thing is clear, Durin will soon rise from the dead, and the Durin that she was referring to is Rhinedottir's Durin, because Mini Durin is still alive. After Wanderer told Albedo about this, it was at this moment that Albedo connected the dots because as of late, he said that Rhinedottir's Durin's heart has started beating again. Now this is where we get into the current Durin that we have today, which by the way, let me just point out how cool his design is. Most of the things we learn about Durin are from Paralogism, and in order to prevent the worst case scenario from happening with Barbeloth's prophecy, Albedo created a plan that was already orchestrated months prior to Paralogism. After it all happened, he then asked Alice to give him Rhinedottir's embryo, Bakunawa's flesh, and Durin's blood in Dragonspine. After completing Hexencircle's trial, Alice gave what Albedo needed, and then we witnessed Albedo take Rhinedottir's Durin's blood from his heart in Dragonspine. In order to do this, Mini Durin's body was needed to revive Durin again, but instead of becoming an evil dragon, Rhinedottir's Durin, in the form of his blood, had to mix with Mini Durin in order to purify the evil inside him and prevent it from continuing to revitalizing. Using the materials given by Alice, Albedo then performs the art of Chemia during Windbloom Festival, and the human version of Durin is finally born. Albedo said that Durin's new body is finally complete, but he needed some time to stabilize himself. It's important to note that the consciousness of the Durin that we have is Mini Durin's consciousness, so to say that he is Mini Durin is not wrong. But for the sake of this video, we'll just call him Durin. Not long after that, he then traveled to Nod-Krai with Albedo and Wanderer. However, considering Durin was already in the Curatorium of Secrets before Alice and the others, it's very likely that he traveled there first before everyone else's. Durin refers to Albedo as brother, which makes sense because Albedo and Durin are created by Rhinedottir. He then helped everyone in fighting against Rerir, and this is where his current story ends. Now this video is short, and if you know me, I don't like making short videos like this and prefer to make them longer because I am here to keep you company. So let's do some theory crafting. Before we continue, do know that these videos took a lot of time and effort to make, so if you can hit that little like icon and subscribe button, you're helping this channel a lot more than you might have thought. With that said, let's continue. First of all, I want to mention Durin's vision because I think it's quite impressive that Durin suddenly gained one after he was reborn. Durin gained the Pyro vision, which is not too surprising, and I think we already expected that. But it makes you wonder, why Pyro? Why not other elements like Hydro, Geo, or just anything else? Well, let me explain. So Pyro in this game symbolizes one thing, and that is death. We see that already being the case with Renova, Arlecchino, Rerir, Malvuika, Hutao, Signora, and many more. Durin technically experienced being reborn once, that being he was fused with Mini Durin. Besides, it was already stated in the game's lore anyway that Rhinedottir's Durin created fire during the Cataclysm, so even if he got a vision with different elements, he can still create fire regardless, just like Flint's who can create blue fire without his Moonwheel. Now, the way visions are gifted is very likely to be automated, with the exception exception of Hydro, because it is stated in Neuvillai's vision story that he gave them personally. Furina is the very first person who obtained it, and it's possible that Aino got her from him as well, assuming she obtained it in the more recent years. Whether it was automated or not, it is clear that the Archons have no association with giving them to mortals, as Mavuika already mentioned it in her voice line, and it's very likely that the Shades and the Heavenly Principles gave them. You might argue that there's Neuvillai's vision story where it states that the Seven do give visions, which is quite contradictory to what we know, and I agree on that. But even if they do, those who wield visions will likely have the same attribute as the associated Archon, but the Archons themselves have no control in giving them to humans. So at the end of the day, visions were not gifted by the Archons, but by the Shades and the Heavenly Principles via an automated system, and is also based on the Archon's personality and attributes. But that being said, there's more than just Durin being associated with death. Pyro has an interesting thing when it comes to their properties, and that is them being related with their parental figure. Not only that, it's also the pattern of handing off the flame to the next generation. Mavuika is a good example of this, where the Pyro Archons in Atlan are appointed when they win in the pilgrimage. Their memories and experience will then be inherited to the next Pyro Archon, and in Mavuika's case, she already has Xabalanque's memories and experience, and so are the past Pyro Archons. We even have a quest where we see her and Xabalanque interact. It goes the same with other characters as well, where Klee's terroristic tendencies were influenced by Alice, who also have a Pyro vision for some reason, so who knows where she even get a personality from. I'll let you know who was influenced by Crucibina, as she stated it herself in her own story quest, Lini, who will be the next father in her House of the Heart, which was also stated in our story quest, Hu Tao, who is currently the head of Wangxian Funeral Parlor, which is a family business, Thoma, who left Mondstadt to find his father in Inazuma, Bennett, who was influenced by his father in Mondstadt and was also saved by his biological parents in the simulated Marijivari, and many more. Ronova also followed this pattern as well, where she was punished by the Heavenly Principles, and the Heavenly Principles is technically the Shade's father in some way, but you get the point. In Durin's case, he technically has three parents. One is Rhinedottir, one is Andersdotter, and one is Albedo, where he was the one that made him into a human. The third one is just a weird statement to say, but it's clear that every single one of Pyro characters have strong influence from their parental figure and the legacy. Durin has two personalities after all. One is his evil side from Rhinedottir, while the other one is his nice side from Andersdotter. Now this is where we enter the second theory. In Moonlit Ballad of the Night, we see Durin holding a drink with a dragon figure that suddenly formed in it. This dragon is very likely to be his other side, where it's Rhinedottir's version. Now, I would like to bet that Durin has a double personality, because I believe that the Rhinedottir version is still alive inside him. I would be rather surprised if he isn't, because here's the thing, both Durins are fused. Even though Rhinedottir's Durin's blood is a material, it was taken directly from his heart. With how Rhinedottir's creation works, it's very unlikely for Rhinedottir's Durin to be completely dead just yet, but more so still alive inside the current Durin we have today. There's also something interesting here. I actually created a video back then where I theorized Rhinedottir's tendency to devour things in order to create life, and I'd say that video aged really well. You see, when they showed the dragon Durin in the trailer, it suddenly shifted to Nicole talking about the three moon goddesses, so it's very unlikely that Durin is just a creation of Rhinedottir that takes the figure of a dragon. Everything that Rhinedottir created has a very reason why it was created the way it is, and it's a lot more evident with her pay-to-win skin called the Serpent Devourer. It is implied that before Rhinedottir became a sinner, she wields a sword called Loxims, which is another name for one of Loki's children in Norse mythology called Jormungand, a serpent-like god that binds the world with its body. Rhinedottir has this tendency where she likes to devour something, and it's a lot more evident with her creations as well. Saspedo was put inside Rhinedottir's Durin's belly, and it is very possible that Durin devoured it by doing so. Bakunawa devoured Rhinedottir's arm once, and for it to continue sustaining itself, it even devoured parts of itself that somehow proliferate inside the Marijivari as per Stanley's notes. Elinas also has this property as well, albeit it's kinda the other way around, because it is said that the Melusines was created when Elinas was unalived, where they came out from inside Elinas's body. If you think of the current Durin, he is kinda the same in that aspect because Rhinedottir's Durin is now inside of him, so technically, playable Durin devoured Rhinedottir's Durin. Now, serpents or snakes in this game are implied to be the same race as the dragons, and it's a lot more evident with Nubalet's constellation, where it's his draconic self in a serpent form. There's also a Pep who has a serpent-like body, the Weenats who are said to be a Pep's children, therefore can be classified as a dragon in some way, Xiuquatl who also have a serpent-like body, Kukulkan who is the same, and to some extent, even Yaimiko's Elemental Burst has Kitsune dragon-like figure which is also a serpent-like body, and Zhongli's dragon form that took in the form of a serpent-like dragon. So in a sense, we can assume that Nibelang also takes the form of a long slender dragon. Some of you might say that the Natlanisarians are dragons and they don't look anything like a serpent dragon, but remember that Saurians are evolved or devolved version of the past Pyro bishops as they lose their intelligence in order to survive in the current state of Teyvat. Now what does this have to do with Durin? My bet right now is that Durin's form or his dragon form could likely take shape of a past dragon that lived in Teyvat. It could be something like the Valid or Kukulkan, or it could even be a dragon sovereign. Now you might also argue that dragons like Ashtaha exist, and yes, Ashtaha is a dragon, and it's a lot more evident with the Chinese localization because in Xi'an, they share the same Hanzi. Ashtaha is the king of Geodragon as he shared the same title with Xiuquatl, who is the king of Pyro Dragon. The little buddy will not accept this name as well if you try to name him that, meaning names that are related to the dragon sovereigns or related to dragons are not accepted, which is weird when you think about it because Kapatir, who is a thunderbird in Inazuma, is not accepted, and Tashrak is also not accepted, meaning it is a dragon that will make its appearance in the future. Anyways, about the argument, that I would say, yes, that's true because Ashtaha is not serpent-like, but that's also the thing because there are Rhinedottir creations that don't look like a serpent dragon. For instance, the Bakunawa is nothing like a serpent and it looks a lot more like Ashtaha, where its shape is large and bulky. But in any case, back to Durin, this could mean that his shape could also be related to a dragon as well, and if I may be bold, he could take a shape of the ANEMO Dragon Sovereign as the Valin and Durin look quite identical. Now note that the Valin is not a Dragon Sovereign, but he could very likely be related to him. Maybe this is the reason why Durin was classified as Rhinedottir's perfect creation at that time. So if you ask me, Durin's arrival in Nod-Krai is very likely to learn more about his true self. More than not, it's likely related to him being a sovereign or even related to Nibelang himself. Perhaps Durin might also be strongly related to the moon because of the dragons are related to them just by existing. Not only that, one of Rhinedottir's creations, the Bakunawa, is inspired by a Philippines mythology of the same name who is said to be a moon devourer. So by association, the Bakunawa's powers could even be related to the moon as well, and this could be the same concept with Durin as well. After all, he did become an abyssal conduit in the Archon Quest and converted it into Kuvaki for Columbina to use, albeit it's also by using a machine that Kaveh created, but at the end of the day, the point still stands. Now speaking of the moon, I feel like since Nod-Krai, it's a mandatory thing for me to talk about the moons in every single lore video I made. Look, don't blame me, it brings in the views on the channel, which means you guys do like it if I mention it, but regardless, we did mention earlier that the dragons are related with the moons just by existing. When it comes to Durin specifically, it could mean even deeper than that, especially he was created based on an existing sovereign, if the theory stands. However, I don't think Durin's connection to the moon is as deep as everyone else's, like how Thoth is an envoy of the moon and stars, yet it's quite unfortunate that they didn't elaborate that in the last event quest. But let me try to figure out the connection. So we talked about Rhinedottir's creation earlier being the representation of life itself, and all of them have that property. That said, it's not surprising if their power also derives from the moon because it is said that every sinner's powers are the counterpart version of the heavenly principles and his four shades. We learned that being the case in the Archon Quest as well, where Rhinedottir is the head of Universitas Magistrorum, which is reason, Rhinedottir is the creator of Art of Chemia, which is life, Surtology is a powerful knight that hopes to continue on getting stronger, which is void, Feather Volnir is Ermin's prophet, which is time, and Verir is the executor of the Crimson Moon bloodline, which is death. As of now, Rhinedottir has fused herself with Tiberius, the ruler of life, and we also learned that the shades are connected with the moons because of their triquetra symbol, which is a symbol that represents the three moon sisters. But what does this have to do with Durin? Well, it's more so connected to Rhinedottir's other creation, Bakunawa. Now I know we are getting off topic a bit, but trust me, we are getting somewhere with this one. So the Bakunawa is implied to be a moon devourer, and this is Rhinedottir's worst and deadliest creation yet. Rhinedottir can't control it, and it even devoured her arm. It was so bad that even Easteroth and Fenty took action by removing Marijivavi from the timeline completely. It is implied that Rhinedottir created the Bakunawa prior to the Cataclysm, therefore it's not a surprise if it was created using another power. It's very likely to be the art of Kemia, and more than not, fused with the power of the moon as well. We'll return to Marijivavi again soon, and the developers say that it will be released again during the Song of Vulcan Moon patch. Because of that being the case, then the reason the Bakunawa was created is more than not related to devouring the moons. Back to Durin again, I mentioned earlier that he is in Nod-Krai to learn more about himself and possibly his connection with the moon because of him being a dragon. But what if another reason for him to go there is also to find a way to stop the Bakunawa from resurfacing? Remember, the reasons for the factions to enter Nod-Krai are for 3 reasons. All 3 are connected with the moon, and you either come to protect it like the Frost Moon Scions, covet it like the Fatui, or destroy it like the Wild Hunts. So far, the Hexen Circle is very likely to protect the moon or to record what is happening in Nod-Krai, so it's possible that Durin's arrival in Nod-Krai is a lot more personal and likely relates more to his family. After all, Bakunawa is technically his brother, just like how he reversed to Albedo as his own sibling. Rhinedottir is also a part of the Hexen Circle despite her being currently one of the 4 shades. So in the end, Durin's relation with the moon are 2 things, his relation to the past dragons and likely linked to the family tree. We'll get more information about Durin soon enough in the livestream, so let's continue this topic in the livestream analysis. With that said, don't forget to let me know your thoughts about Durin in the comments below. Jana!